I never meant to become an adventurer. I was a map librarian at the University of Edinburgh. My world was dust and parchment, the smell of old glue and older ink. I liked my maps flat, my tea hot, and my mysteries safely between the covers of centuries-old books. Then I found the Bolton Diary. It was misfiled between 2 volumes of 18th century shipping logs. A small, leather-bound journal, water-stained, smelling of salt and something else, something cold. The first page read, "Account of the Antarctic expedition of the HMS Tempest, 1908 to 1909. Captain James Bolton, Commander." What followed wasn't just a log, it was a confession. Captain Bolton wrote of sailing further south than any chart showed possible, of finding a channel through the ice that shouldn't exist, of entering a region where the compass spun like a child's top, where the sun cast 2 shadows, where the sea steamed in the polar night. And then the final entry, scrawled in handwriting that shook. February 17th, 1909. The wall is not ice, it is a facade. We have seen the lights beyond. Men have gone ashore and not returned. The ones who did, they are changed. They speak of cities carved from black stone, of warm winds from deep valleys. They speak of being watched. We are leaving tonight. May God forgive us for what we leave behind. Beneath that, in different ink, as if added later, the ice is growing back over the passage. They do not want it found again. That was 3 years ago. Today, I'm standing on the deck of the Midnight Sun, a Russian icebreaker that smells of diesel and desperation, watching the first icebergs glide past like white ghosts in the perpetual twilight of the Antarctic summer. The diary is in my waterproof pack, along with everything else I've gathered: satellite anomalies that look like geometric patterns under the ice, seismic readings that suggest vast hollow spaces, and one photograph taken by a weather satellite in 1987, declassified by accident, that shows something. A valley in the middle of the Antarctic ice sheet. A valley without snow. My name is Elias Thorne, and this is the recording of my expedition beyond the edge of every map. Day 14. The Midnight Sun is trapped, not by pack ice, but by something stranger. A field of tabular icebergs, each one a flat-topped mountain of ice, has drifted into a perfect, labyrinthine pattern. Our captain, a grizzled Russian named Volkov, swears it's natural, but his eyes keep darting to the radar screen, which shows the bergs moving against the current. "We are being herded," whispers Anya, our glaciologist. She's from Norway, with eyes the colour of glacial ice. "Look, the channel behind us is closing." She's right. The path we took is now blocked by 2 converging bergs. We're being funneled south, always south. Day 17. We found the ship, or what's left of it. The Southern Cross, a research vessel lost in 1959. It's frozen upright in a cove of blue ice, perfectly preserved. No signs of distress, just empty. I went aboard with Volkov and our medic, Leo. The silence was the loudest thing I've ever heard. No creak of metal, no wind. It was as if the cold had swallowed sound itself. In the captain's cabin, we found the crew. Or rather, we found their clothes, laid out neatly on bunks, as if they'd just stepped out of them. Parkas, boots, thermal suits, all empty. On the chart table was a single, final notation on a nautical map. Beyond the wall, the world breathes. Then the ice began to sing. Not a groan or crack, a song, a low, harmonic hum that vibrated in our teeth, in our bones. It came from everywhere and nowhere. We ran. Day 23. The Midnight Sun is gone. We took the Zodiac inflatable boats and fled when the ice started moving against the hull. We saw it go down, crushed between two glaciers that acted like living jaws. Now there are 6 of us, adrift in 3 small boats, in a sea of fog so thick it feels solid. Me, Captain Volkov. Anya, the glaciologist. Leo, the medic. Kai, a quiet New Zealand geologist. And Maria, the ship's engineer, who hasn't spoken since we left the Southern Cross. Our GPS is useless. The compass spins. We're navigating by a strange, warm current that flows against all Arctic logic, and by a light that glows faintly through the fog from the south. Day 27, or maybe 28. We found the shore. Not rock, but ice. A vertical cliff of ice that stretches up into the fog and vanishes. The ice wall. But there's a crack, a fissure, just wide enough for our boats. From within flows air that's warm and carries a scent, not ice, not salt, something organic, something green. This is madness, Volkov growls. We go in there, we never come out. We don't go in, Anya says quietly. We die out here. We enter the fissure. It's a tunnel, a mile, then 2. The ice glows with an internal blue light. Then the tunnel widens and the light changes. We emerge into a cavern so vast our headlights can't find the ceiling. And in the centre, a forest? A forest of giant fungi, glowing with soft bioluminescence. Mushrooms the size of oak trees, their caps dripping moisture. The air is thick, humid, and full of the sound of dripping water and insects. We beach the boats on a shore of black sand. We are beneath the ice sheet, Kai says, his voice filled with scientific wonder. The geothermal heat, it's created a cavern ecosystem. This is impossible. The weight of the ice above should have collapsed this space millennia ago. Maybe it's being held up, Leo says, looking at the fungal trunks. They're arranged in rows, like columns, like they're holding the ceiling up. Then we see the carvings. On the ice walls, etched deep, spirals, concentric circles, and a repeating symbol that looks like an eye with a vertical pupil. They're not natural, Anya whispers, running her fingers over the grooves. These were made a long time ago. That's when Maria finally speaks. She's staring at the symbols, tears freezing on her cheeks. I've seen these, she says, in my dreams. Since I was a child, we have no concept of day or night here. We explore. The fungal forest goes on for miles. We find streams of warm water, and in them blind white fish that dart from our lights. We find more carvings. They tell a story, we think. A story of a people who came here when the ice was young, who built shelters in the warmth beneath the glaciers, who changed. On the 3rd day in the cavern, we find the city. It's not a city of buildings, but of crystals. Massive hexagonal crystals of pure quartz, rising from the cavern floor, arranged in a spiral pattern that makes our heads ache to look at. They glow with their own soft pink light. In the centre of the spiral is a throne, and on the throne sits a figure. It's humanoid, but 8 feet tall, thin with elongated limbs. Its skin is translucent, like mother of pearl, showing faint blue veins beneath. It's dressed in robes of what looks like woven lichen, and it's not moving. Is it dead? Leo asks. As if in answer, the figure's head lifts. It has no eyes, just smooth skin where eyes should be, but we feel it looking at us. A voice fills our minds, not in our ears, in our thoughts. It sounds like wind chimes and cracking ice. You have returned to the garden, but you are not the gardeners. We're frozen. Not by cold, but by the sheer impossibility of it. You carry the old maps. You follow the old paths. But you have forgotten the pact. I find my voice. What pact? The world above was given to you. The world below was kept for us. When the great cold came, we retreated. We slept. You were to guard the doors. You have not guarded them. You have forgotten. The figure rises. It moves with a liquid grace that is utterly alien. The doors are waking. The watchers stir. You must remember, or you must leave. The choice is upon you. What doors? Anya asks. The being points a long, delicate finger upward toward the miles of ice above our heads. The doors in the ice, the passages between, they were sealed, now they thin. Things that sleep in the deep cold are dreaming of warmth, of the world above. The rumbling returns, stronger this time. Cracks appear in the cavern walls. You have triggered the wards. The garden rejects those who do not remember. Go. Follow the river of light. It will lead you to a surface passage. Go, and remember this time. Tell your people. The pact must be renewed, or the doors will open, and what comes through will not be as patient as we have been. We emerged from the ice chimney into a blizzard, but not onto the Antarctic plateau. We stood on a rocky shore. Before us stretched not ice, but a sea of liquid water, steaming in the cold air, and on the horizon, mountains. Green mountains with snow-capped peaks, under a sky where two suns, one pale and distant, one a closer, orange orb, hung together. It's a mirage, Kai whispered, his scientific mind rebelling. A polar hallucination. But the rock beneath my feet was real. The spray from the sea was real. And the ship cutting toward us, a vessel of dark wood with sails of silvery membrane, was undeniably real. The being who met us called herself Elara. She stood 7 feet tall, with skin like polished obsidian and eyes that held entire constellations. She spoke our language, but with an accent that sounded like stones grinding together and whined through pine needles. You have found the first valley, she said, but it is only the antechamber. What is this place? Anya asked, her glaciologist's mind trying to process the geothermal impossibility. Elara smiled, a slow cracking of her stone-like face. When the great ice came, it did not cover all. It walled. This valley and 7 others were protected by the old ones. They are pockets, remnants of the world before the freeze, connected by passages that run beneath the ice, through mountains that touch neither your sky nor ours. And the 2 suns? Leo asked, staring upward. The orange light is not a star, Elara said. It is the heart, a piece of the world's core brought close to the surface here. It warms these valleys. It has burned for 10,000 years. We were taken to their city, not of crystal, but of living wood. Trees grown into homes, bridges, towers that spiraled toward the twin lights. The people here were human, but changed. Taller, paler, with eyes adapted to the softer light. They called themselves the Betweeners. For a month, we recovered. We learned their history, how they fled the advancing ice 10 millennia ago, guided by the old ones, the crystal beings we'd met, into these hidden valleys. How they'd maintained the geothermal systems that kept the ice at bay. How they'd explored the network of tunnels connecting the 8 valleys. We have maps, Elara told me one evening, unrolling a scroll made of what looked like woven light. Of all the valleys, but the 8th valley, its door has been closed for 500 years. The ice reclaimed it. I studied the map. The valleys formed a rough circle around what the betweeners called the Silent Sea, a body of water at the centre of Antarctica, completely enclosed by ice mountains. "And beyond the 8th valley?" I asked. Ilara's constellation eyes darkened. "The legends say there is a 9th place, not a valley, a bridge, a land that connects to other places, other Antarcticas." I must have looked confused. "Your world has one southern pole," she said. "But the ice walls are not symmetrical. They are like the petals of a flower. Each valley lies in a fold, and at the center, where the petals meet, there may be a way to other flowers, other worlds with their own ice walls." It sounded like madness, but I had seen the Bolton Diary. I had seen the ice that moved against currents. I had seen a throne of crystal and a being with no eyes. "We want to go there," I said, "to the 8th valley and beyond." Ilara studied me. "The passage is dangerous. The Old Ones sealed it for a reason. The things that sleep in the deep ice, they stir near the center." Volkov, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. "We did not come this far to stop now." Kai nodded. "This changes everything we know about geology, biology, everything." Anya was already examining the map. "The geothermal readings here, if this is accurate, there's a heat source, an order of magnitude larger than the heart, something massive." Leo, ever practical, said, "We'll need supplies, proper cold weather gear." Maria, who had been silent since the throne room, finally spoke. "I'm staying here." We all turned to her. "This is my home," she said quietly. "I've dreamed of these trees since I was a child. The Betweeners. They're my people. I just didn't know it until now." Ilara placed a hand on Maria's shoulder. "She has the old blood. She belongs here." So it was decided. Maria would stay. The rest of us would press on. 2 weeks later, we stood at the entrance to the northern tunnel, the passage to the 2nd valley. Ilara and 3 Betweeners would guide us as far as the 4th valley. Beyond that, we'd be on our own. "The tunnels are maintained by the Old Ones' machines," Ilara explained as we entered the cavern mouth. "But as you near the center, their influence wanes. The ice becomes wilder. It has a will of its own." The first 3 valleys were variations on the first: lush, warm, inhabited. The 2nd valley was a vast fungal forest with glowing mushrooms that communicated through bioluminescent pulses. The 3rd valley was all geothermal springs and mineral gardens, crystals growing in psychedelic formations. The Betweeners in each valley were subtly different, adapted to their environments. But the 4th valley was different. We emerged to silence. The air was cold. The valley was dead. Great stone structures rose from the frozen ground buildings in a style that was neither human nor before's. Angular, brutalist, made of a black stone that drank the light. No trees grew here, no fungi, only lichen, slowly eating the stones. "This valley failed 2,000 years ago," Ilara said, her voice hushed. "The heart here went dark. The Betweeners evacuated. But the Old Ones left something behind, a beacon or a warning." In the center of the dead city stood a monolith, 50 feet tall, covered in symbols that made my head ache. As we approached, the symbols began to glow with a sickly green light, and they rearranged themselves, forming words in a dozen languages, including English. "The ice is not a wall, it is a membrane. We made it to keep things in, but some things can still get through. Turn back." Kai recorded the message. Anya took samples of the stone. Leo monitored our vitals. Our heart rates had all spiked. "We go on," Volkov said, staring at the monolith. "A warning is just a warning. Alara looked troubled. My people cannot go beyond this valley. Our pact with the Old Ones ends here. But I will give you what you need to continue. She gave us new maps carved on thin sheets of mica. She gave us food that the Betweeners had developed concentrated nutrient bars that could last months. And she gave us weapons, rods of crystal that, when struck together, emitted a frequency that she said calmed the ice. We have one more gift, Alara said. She whistled, and from the sky descended 4 creatures I can only describe as living gliders. They looked like manta rays, made of leathery skin, with wingspans of 20 feet. They are sky rays. They will carry you over the ice mountains between valleys. They know the way. We mounted the creatures, terrifying at first, then exhilarating as we soared over frozen wastes that no human had ever seen. From the air, we saw the pattern. 8 valleys, arranged like spokes around a central hub of pure white, the Silent Sea. The 5th valley was a desert of black sand, with rivers of liquid mercury. The 6th valley was a jungle so dense we couldn't land, filled with sounds of unknown animals. The 7th valley was shrouded in perpetual mist, and we didn't descend, the sky rays shied away from it. And then we reached the 8th valley, or what was left of it. The ice had reclaimed it completely. Only the tips of the tallest structures pierced the glacier that filled the basin. The door the Betweeners had spoken of, a great arch of stone, was completely buried. We'll have to dig, Anya said, studying the ice face. But as we landed, we realized digging wouldn't be necessary. The ice was moving. It flowed like water, parting to reveal a tunnel descending into darkness. Not a natural tunnel. A perfect circle, with walls so smooth they looked polished. And from within came a sound. Music. Not like any music I'd ever heard. It was mathematics given sound. Geometry made melody. The Old Ones are inviting us in, Kai whispered. We left the sky rays at the entrance. They refused to go further and descended. The tunnel went down for miles. The air grew warmer. The walls began to pulse with light in time with the music. And then we emerged into a cavern that defied all reason. We stood on a ledge overlooking a space so vast our lights couldn't reach the other side, and below us, a city. But not a city of buildings. A city of ships. Hundreds, thousands of vessels, resting on a floor of crystalline sand. Some were clearly seafaring ships, wooden hulls, masts. Others were stranger metallic crafts of designs I couldn't recognize, and some looked organic, grown rather than built. Walkways of light connected them, floating in the air with no visible support. And moving along those walkways were figures, some humanoid, some not. This is a port, Leo said in awe. A harbour for whatever comes through. As we watched, one of the organic ships began to glow. The air above it shimmered, and a doorway of light opened. The ship floated upward through the doorway and vanished. Not a harbour, I corrected him. A terminal. A voice spoke behind us. We turned to find one of the Old Ones, a crystal being like the one from the throne room, but larger, with facets that refracted light into rainbows. You have reached the crossroads. This is where the membranes between worlds are thinnest, where the ice wall touches other ice walls. Other worlds? Anya asked. Your Antarctica is not unique. Many worlds have such barriers. Many have valleys behind them. Some have beings who found their way here. Some come to trade, some to escape, some to explore. The being gestured to the city below. This is neutral ground, established by the first travellers, protected by the Accord. No violence, only exchange, of knowledge, of stories, of warning. Warning of what? Volkov asked. The being's facets darkened. The membranes are thinning, not just here, everywhere. The great cold that created the ice walls is ending. When it does, the walls will fall, and all that has been kept separate will meet. It pointed to a section of the harbour where particularly strange ships were docked crafts that seemed made of shadow or solidified sound. Not all who come here are friendly. Not all worlds are safe. The ice has protected you. When it melts, you will need to be ready. The being gave us coordinates, not geographical, but something else. Resonance points in the ice where doorways could be opened, where we could return to this place. And it gave us a mission. Go back to your world. Tell them what you've seen. Prepare them. Or join those of us who are building alliances across the walls. The choice is yours. We spent a week in the crossroads. We met travelers from worlds with blue suns and green moons. We traded stories, our maps, for their star charts. We learned that the ice walls were indeed falling, slowly, across dozens of worlds. And we made a decision. We wouldn't go back to our old lives. Volkov would stay at the crossroads, learning from the starfarers. I've sailed every ocean on Earth, he said. Now I'll learn to sail between worlds. Kai and Anya would return to the Betweeners, bringing them into the Alliance, helping them prepare their valleys for what came next. Leo would go back through the tunnels, using his medical knowledge to help the Betweeners and any other beings we encountered. And me? Ilara found me on our last night. You have the mind of a cartographer, she said, but the heart of an explorer. The crossroads needs someone to map the connections, to chart the thinning points, to find the worlds that are still hidden. She was right. I never meant to become an adventurer. But some doors, once opened, change you forever. So I'm recording this message not as an ending, but as a beginning. I'm leaving it in the Bolton diary, which I'll send back with Leo. If you're hearing this, you've found the diary. You know the first part of the story. But the story doesn't end with finding one hidden valley. It begins with finding all of them. The ice walls are falling. The membranes are thinning. And out here, in the spaces between, we're building something. A network, an alliance, a map of all the worlds behind all the walls. My name is Elias Thorne. I was a map librarian. Now I'm a cartographer of the impossible. And if you want to join us, we've left a way. Follow the coordinates in the diary's margin. Listen for the ice that sings in a major key. Look for the auroras that move against the wind. Find the first door. We'll be waiting on the other side. The adventure isn't over. It's everywhere.